Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another edition of the DVD Shelf Top Spots, the countdown show where we feel cinema should be celebrated, not incinerated. I'm your host, Andy Snyder, and for today's list, I thought I would take a look at some of the best lesser-known films I've come across. So, it's time to count down the top 10 hidden gems. As my fellow cinephiles can easily confirm with the high amount of films we typically watch, it's easy to come across films that the average moviegoer audience might have missed. Sometimes they are indie films with a limited release, or perhaps they just didn't receive enough advertisement. For whatever reason, there are films that fall into obscurity to the moviegoing masses. And it should be noted that, obviously, plenty of you have undoubtedly seen many of these films. But none of the following films were considered financial successes, and in my opinion, they are often overlooked or forgotten about, and rarely do I see them referenced or discussed. So, without further ado, let's get into the top spots. Kicking us off at number 10 is the action thriller Hostage. This film, based on a novel and released in 2005, follows former negotiator turned suburban police chief Jeff Talley, as played by Bruce Willis. Three juveniles end up taking a man and his two kids hostage after a botched robbery attempt that claims the life of an officer. And now Talley is drawn into the middle of resolving the situation when his family is threatened by an outside force who want to prevent incriminating evidence in the house from falling into the wrong hands. This film was well made, featuring some tense thrills, interesting twists, and a standout performance by the underappreciated Ben Foster. And while not one of the best movies out there, I think it is damn solid and well worth a watch. Number 9 is the psychological thriller Frailty. This 2001 film is best when watched as spoiler-free as possible, so I'm just going to keep it simple. This film recounts the tale of a man as he goes into the FBI, claiming his brother is the God's Hand serial killer. He then recounts the story of how it all started, giving us a series of flashbacks that show the brothers' lives under their God-fearing father. This tale is deeper than it might seem at first glance, asking questions about faith, religion, morality, and mental health. And while this provided one of my earliest memories of Matthew McConaughey proving he had some real acting chops, it sadly also contains one of Bill Paxton's weaker performances.
That's why you can't see the truth.
Still, this is a great thriller that shouldn't be missed by fans of the genre. And at number 8 is 1989's comedy UHF. Weird Al Yankovic is mostly known for his musical parodies that recreate famous songs utilizing comedic lyrics. However, after finding success with his music in the 80s, he decided to write and star in a movie in which he played a daydreaming nobody that ended up running a small-time cable channel full of bizarre shows, including the surprise hit show hosted by the janitor Stanley, played by Michael Richards before he was famous for being Kramer. Contained within are numerous film parodies, sight gags, supplies, and a goofy sense of humor.
Spatula City! Spatula City!
For a more in-depth look at this film, check out the review David Rose did on the DVD Shelf Movie Reviews. But I can tell you that for me, this is a great and quirky comedy. Number 7 brings us Punch-Drunk Love. In 2002, Adam Sandler was mainly known as a funny man with juvenile humor. And then he starred in the romantic dramedy Punch-Drunk Love, showing us he is more than just an exaggerated goofball. The film follows Sandler's Barry Egan, a troubled man that meets and falls for Emily Watson's Lena Leonard. All the while, he is being extorted by a phone sex line run by Philip Seymour Hoffman's Dean. The film features strong performances all around, unique characters, dark humor, and an engaging story.
Shut up!
This is not your typical romantic comedy. And in the end, I think that hurt this film as people seeking out a typical Adam Sandler comedy were disappointed. But don't let that detract from this well-made dramedy, which is also one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. In at number 6 is 2015's Green Room. This horror thriller finds an indie punk band trapped in a neo-Nazi compound after they stumble upon a murderer. Now the skinheads will do what they have to in order to permanently silence the band and cover up the murder. This film is one of the best thrillers I've seen in years. Writer and director Jeremy Saulnier grounded this film in the real world by giving us realistic characters and violence, making the experience that much more terrifying. The bursts of brutal violence, anchored by great performances, including one of Anton Yelchin's last roles, as well as Patrick Stewart's atypical villain, make this a horror thriller not to miss. And at number 5 is 2013's Blue Ruin. Blue Ruin is a slow-burning revenge thriller that follows the unassuming homeless Dwight, played by Macon Blair, after he kills a man out of revenge and then must run from his bloodthirsty family. Much like the prior film on this list, this movie contains realistic bursts of violence scattered throughout, as well as feeling like a more grounded film as situations don't always play out how you'd expect in such movies. And there's a reason that it has a similar feel, as Blue Ruin was Jeremy Saulnier's film prior to Green Room. And even though this one doesn't contain as many recognizable names as Green Room does, their performances are just as strong, making this a unique and engaging revenge thriller. And at number 4 is The Guest. Released in 2014, The Guest follows soldier David, played by Dan Stevens, as he visits the family of a soldier that was killed in action, claiming to be a friend of the fallen soldier. However, mysterious deaths begin to happen, and the daughter in the family, Micah Monroe's Anna, begins to suspect that their new house guest isn't who he seems to be. The plot has some twists and turns, keeping us on our toes and giving us a bit of a genre mash as we are bombarded with elements from an action movie, thriller, and horror film. The combination works well, giving us a unique feeling story and making this a great watch. Next up at number 3 is 1999's Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai. This film, considered by some as an homage to the French film Les Samurai, merges the samurai and gangster genres to give us something unique. The plot follows mafia hitman Ghost Dog, played by Forrest Whitaker, who strictly follows the samurai code. He is tasked with killing a man sleeping with a local don's daughter, however the daughter witnesses the murder. In order to tie up loose ends, the mafia turns on Ghost Dog, forcing him into a fight to survive. This film is from experienced indie director Jim Jarmusch, who is typically known for his minimalist cinematography and eccentric style, as seen in such films as Dead Man and Broken Flowers. And he employs his skills well here, giving us a solid and different feeling indie film about an honor-bound hitman. Number 2 is the 2010 horror comedy Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. The story follows best friends Tucker and Dale as they head to their dilapidated cabin in the woods in order to fix it up. Nearby, a group of college kids head to the woods to camp out and have fun. After a chance meeting at a nearby gas station and a couple of innocent misunderstandings and accidental deaths around the woods, the college kids are convinced that Tucker and Dale are stereotypical horror movie type killers and set out to kill them. The genius of this film is that it takes these horror tropes we're all used to from horror movies, such as the murderous hillbillies in the woods, and turns them on their head.
Run! We're going to be alive!
For me, its biggest fault is that it falters a bit in the last act, but it is still an undeniably funny and fun horror comedy anchored by performances from Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk. And coming in at number 1 is 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The plot follows thief Harry Lockhart, played by Robert Downey Jr., after he accidentally stumbles into an audition and ends up landing the part. He is paired with consultant and private eye Gay Perry, played by Val Kilmer, to help prepare for the role. Perry brings Lockhart on a case with him where they come across a dead body. Now they must find out what happened and how Lockhart's high school crush turned actress, Michelle Monaghan's Harmony, is involved. This film brought a return to form for Shane Black, who is best known for writing one of the most popular buddy cop movies, Lethal Weapon. Not only did Black write this film, it also marked his directorial debut, a double duty he went on to perform again for Iron Man 3 and The Nice Guys. His sharp writing, the twists and turns, and dark humor work wonderfully. And when you add in the acting, including what is arguably the beginning of Robert Downey Jr.'s career renaissance, this is a solid and underrated film.
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find?
Picture me?
No! The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are.
Well, that'll do it for this episode. With a constantly changing cinema landscape and the tides of my opinion in perpetual flux, this is not meant to be an end-all be-all list, but rather a good idea of some of the best hidden gems in cinema. So, for today, these have been the top spots.
Hey, David Rose here. Hope you enjoyed that video because there are plenty more where that came from. And we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and clicked on the notifications icon so you can get all of our latest content. Which reminds me, I should probably go make some.